So this is called An Abundance of Love. We will be talking, the song was Love Cover Me by Gary Lynn Floyd. We will be talking about what is the love according to the Bible, Spiritual Love by Dr. David Hawkins. We will talk about unleashing the power of unconditional love, love in every major religion, and how love heals everything. So the definition of love, we'll be talking about the biblical understanding, two perspectives on unconditional love. Love is everywhere. It comes in all kinds of forms. Love between humans and humans, humans and God and humans. Love is the essence of who we are. If God lives inside us and God is love, there can be no other way. So love in every major religion. Let's just look at the 6 major world religions, romantic, platonic, or divine love. So Christianity, we'll be talking a lot about the specifics of that, but just quickly, they concentrate on the 2 forms, philia and agape. Philia is brotherly love for neighbors, family, friends, and it is supposed to be what we demonstrate to strangers. Agape is divine love. It is unconditional, selfless love from God to mankind, and it is spiritual love. And we'll just be talking about spiritual love right after this. So Judaism, the fundamental forms of love are love of God, neighbor, and strangers. They talk a lot about showing love to strangers. Love your neighbor as yourself is the center of their central book in the Torah. Love involves giving to those you love, and the act of giving increases and produces love. Love of God is its truest form of love. So Islam, the sacred texts describe 2 major forms of love, divine love and human love. Divine love is the love of God as well as love people have for God. Through this love comes human love to all of the creations of God, from insects to humans. Hinduism, there are 5 stages of love: Atma Prema, Bhakti, Maitra, Shingara, and Kama. Atma Prema is a form of self-love that is cultivated through loving others. Bhakti extends to all of creation and further connects the love of God. Maitri is compassionate love that exists through kindness. Shingara is romantic love, and Kama is the attraction and sexual desire. And Buddhism, 4 elements of true love: Maitra, which is love born through acts of kindness; Karuna, which is compassionate love, which focuses on the ability to understand one another and be able to help someone else; Mudita is simply known to be joy; and Upeksha, which is inclusiveness. Love is one of the acceptance and non-discrimination. And Sikhism, Pyare, means love for Lord and his creation. It is one of 5 virtues. The others are truth, contentment, compassion, and humility. All 5 qualities are essential to the Sikhs. They believe when your mind is full of love, you can accept anyone as God's creation. So spiritual love. This is written by David R. Hawkins. So I pulled it from several of his lectures. He has books. He's an author, a spiritual teacher. He's a psychiatrist. He was also a physician. He's a researcher. He's a developer of the map of consciousness. That's probably what you know him for the most. He's author of the book, Love is a Way of Being. So he says there are various understandings of love. Most people are more loving in more ways than they realize. They are just not conscious of it. So he talks about polishing the chrome in his kitchen. On the stove, there were those burners, and he said he's washed them a bunch of times, but one time he saw that it wasn't shining and sparkling, so he picked it up and he took a Brillo and he sparkled it all up, and he says, that's love. Now you see, it shines with love. Love takes many forms: duty, commitment, caringness about everything. Love for your body. You've got to love this thing, feed it. Love takes many expressions. It takes many forms of what he calls caringness. That's what he talks about in his books a whole lot. We look at love as some advanced state and think we're not there yet, but that's not true. Love is a constant in our life. In our world, love denotes romance. It denotes a me loving you and you loving me. That kind of love can be lost and taken away from you. That's a different kind of love than spiritual love, which is the awareness of the reality that is within you at all times. In reality, love is a way of being in the world. It's a way of holding yourself and life and every aspect of life within an overall context. And that overall context gives it a different meaning and significance. It is the capacity, the willingness to be that caring to the world. whether it is polishing the chrome or saving someone on the side of the road. As commonly understood, love is an emotion, something you give and something you get. So consequently, something that you could lose. It is thought to be volitional and conditional. Love is thought to be something that is deserved. You have to earn love. You have to pay for love. It's like a commodity. Love is actually a way of being with the world. The condition of lovingness prevails as a permanency because it is what you are. It is what you have become. It is just who you are. It doesn't change. It's not given. It's not lost. It's not taken away. It's not something you earn. It's just what you have become. Love is misunderstood. It is actually a state of awareness, a way of being in the world and of seeing yourself and others. Love for God or nature, a person, or one's pets opens the door to spiritual inspiration. The desire to make others happy, overriding selfishness, is love. The more we give love, the greater our capacity to do so. Love blossoms into lovingness, which becomes progressively more intense, non-selective, and joyful. There is a time when one falls in love with everything and everyone that they meet. That's David Hawkins. All right, so what is love according to the Bible? This is pulled from a lecture given at DLM Christian Lifestyle, but it's got all of your scriptural references today. So if you're one who takes notes on scripture, they're all coming up right now. But first, there's four different kinds of love that are spoken of in the Bible. The four Greek words are eros, which is romantic sexual love. There's we get the word erotic. Storge, which is familial, so mother for a baby or a brother or a sister. Filial, which is friendship and camaraderie. And agape, which is God's love he has for the world. Christians are supposed to be emulating that kind of love. Scripture tells us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Galatians 5:14, for the whole law is fulfilled in one word, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Agape love is not a feeling. It is not an act of your will. That means you love someone, it is an act of your will. That means you love someone even when you don't feel like it. That is unconditional love. You love them through your spirit, God's love. You see the other person through God's eyes. You love them even in times of stress, arguments. You love them unconditionally. You love people with the love that God has given you. Romans 5:5 says, God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. You choose to love. It is a conscious choice. The law of God comes down to one thing, love. Love God and love your neighbor. Matthew 22:37, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. We can be a light in this dark world because of our unconditional love, agape love for other people. John 13:34, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are able to love one another. By this, all people will know you are my disciples if you have love for one another. 1 Corinthians 13. So this is the love chapter. If you ever ask anybody what the love chapter is, here it is. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but I have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in the wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. If you abide in love, you will abide in God. 1 John 4:16 says, God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. All righty. So I found a really interesting guy because he's kind of like me, he crosses all of the paths. He was a minister for 18 years in the United Church of Christ. He has a master's in divinity from Yale, but now he is a yoga practitioner, and he doesn't call himself a Christian anymore. And he's had 2 near-death experiences. So he talks a lot about what has happened to him during those experiences. And he wrote a talk saying, Unleashing the Power of Unconditional Love in Yoga. Peter Panagore is his name. He wrote a book called Heaven is Beautiful and another book called 2 Minutes for God, Quick Fixes for the Spirit. He had 2 NDEs. The first was in 1980 when he had hyperthermia, when he was hiking up in Canada. And the second was in 2015, quite a bit later, when he had a heart attack. So he had 2 NDEs. He says, I am not a Christian, nor a Hindu, a Muslim, a Jewish, a Sikh, or a Buddhist. I am a devotee of the one unique light. The unconditional love, the eternal, who has no religion, is beyond all thought. He is the force inside of everything. He discussed his NDE and talked about the unconditional love he felt when he was there, and that he can still reach inside and feel it whenever he needs to. He actually talked a little bit about how depressing it was being back after the NDE because there was such intense love and unconditional joy there that when he came back to the world, he describes it as all of the colors were there and not all of the colors are not here. And he says that's a very common thing for people that have NDEs. And he says, but all of love comes from above. Love isn't just human. All love arises from the all-giving one. 1 John 4:19, we love because the loving one loves us first. This is what I experienced in the NDE, that the loving one loved me with this unconditional and infinite love. So there are 4 main branches of yoga: karma, raja, jnana, and bhakti. And he counterparts with the mystical Christianity are service, meditation, knowledge, and devotion. So he's always talking about comparing both of those. So today in this talk, he was talking about bhakti, which is, he says, a gift from the radical and direct experience of ineffable love. Totally devoted to God he is. He said, I am nuts over God. It comes from the loss of self and the integration with the union. It's a way of being. It's being. So bhakti, devotion, is knowing I am eternally and unconditionally loved. You can't teach that feeling of devotion. It comes from the other practices. Karma yoga, service. When you give, you receive more than you give. In the Katha Upanishad, it says the soul, the Atman, resides in the heart. He said, when I returned from the second NDE, the angel reinserted me into my body through my heart. I learned since I came back to aim my heart to heaven through karma, service, raja, meditation, and head, jnana, knowledge. These became my practices of devotion. Karma has played a huge part. That's the one you really need. If you give love and kindness and charity and compassion in life, if you love the ones who love you, then all is well for you. If you're kind to those who love you and to those who aren't. James 2:14 says, relationship between faith and works and faith. He talks about this a whole lot, how that whole chapter talks about that the faith is dead if there is no faith is dead if there are no works to support it. Devotion without karma yoga is dead also, he says. True faith in the divine should manifest in actions, good deeds or good works. Faith must be accompanied by action. As the body without the spirit is dead, so is your spirituality without deeds. If you want devotion in your life, live your spirituality in the world. And it is the love that you are trying to live in the world. The more you behave with compassion and kindness, the more you feed your heart, he says. So I've got another one who talks about love in the context, so she is a physician, and she was a ER doctor for many, many years, and she is now works in the mind-body field. She is the founder of the American Institute for Mind-Body Medicine. She's the author of the Mind-Body Toolkit. Her name is Ken Daramo. She is a conventionally trained ER doctor and osteopath. She learned that she looks at the mind and the body as one. She developed an autoimmune illness that gave her chronic pain and fatigue while she was in med school, and she tried with fierce determination to get better, but it didn't work. And she realized the harder she pushed and the more she fostered herself, it was like she was fighting her body. And she said, you have to be open to receive new ways. When you're fighting your body, you both lose. So love, she says, is not airy-fairy bumper sticker thing. It's a space of pure acceptance within ourselves. You can connect with this essence of love, physically connecting with the heart. So she learned through all of her work, she got healed. So what she did was she did all of these trainings on the mind-body connection, and she came to understand that when she loved herself, when she showed her body love, her body healed by itself. And she now, if you look at her book, if you look at her work, she has hundreds and hundreds of testimonies of people who have healed because of the love they did on the inside, because of loving themselves, their bodies were able to heal themselves. And so she talks about connecting with the essence of love and physically connecting with the heart. She says it is the area of the body that registers love. It is the receptor for love. Awareness of your physical heart will allow you to be open and receptive to the higher frequency energy. When we connect with the stillness, just put your hand on your heart and take a breath. Let everything go. Let everything relax. Do 3 breaths like that. You'll feel that your body already feels different. You are releasing tension, releasing energy that is blocking you from feeling the stillness. So she talks a lot. So we're going to do, put your hand on your heart and go in and out. In through your nose, shoulders down, and out. In through your nose, and out. One more in through your nose, and out. She says it's as simple as physically connecting with your heart. The heart energy will change everything. So she does a lot of work with that. And she says, don't tell yourself when you are overwhelmed that you will do this later, that you don't have time. It is the most important thing you can do to connect with your heart. Remember, chaos never needs your attention. Chaos is an indication that stillness needs your attention. Illness is an indication that stillness needs your attention. Lack of clarity, running around, not knowing what to do is your indication that stillness needs your attention. When you bring your awareness to your heart and reside in a higher frequency, it will equilibrate your nervous system. It harmonizes your hormones. It brings health to every part of your body. Whatever physical, emotional, relationship, financial challenge you are dealing with, we can access the stillness within by connecting with pure love to heal. Say, I'm willing to be present to myself and to what is, no matter how uncomfortable or painful or inconvenient. I'm willing to be present to what is and to connect with the stillness. Inside all of us is the beautiful presence of love, total unconditional acceptance. Our job is to meet it in the stillness. It's a matter of unconditional presence. I hold you in my heart. I am here, pure presence, pure love. So here's what I know. Throughout all of my study, what comes over me repeatedly was the fact that there are these teachers all throughout the world, and they all have the same message. It all boils down to 3 words: unconditional, compassion, and kindness. God's love for us, as taught by all of the major religions, is unconditional, and that we are supposed to go out in the world and give back that unconditional love. Both the Bible study and Peter Panagore spoke about how faith without works is dead. But Dr. David Hawkins points out that we are probably more loving than we ever give ourselves credit for. With God living inside us, love is who we are. It is a way of being. Dr. Duramo talks about how to love actually shows up in our body and how we block the flow of love all the time with our running around and focus on achieving, but that we can connect with our source, love, just by physically putting our hands on our heart, breathing, and releasing. We talk so much about showing loving acts of kindness towards others. We need to show as much kindness, love, and compassion to ourselves. Taking time during the day to acknowledge our bodies and how strong and resilient they are. This series was about abundance. Being grateful for all the gifts we have is the fastest way to be in touch with our abundance. Love really is all around us everywhere, in the texts, in the phone calls, in the emails, every form of communication that shows caring, from friends, family, coworkers. Corny as it sounds, the pharmacist who knows your name, the checkout woman who asks you how you are doing, these are all acts of kindness and show love and compassion. Our pets, the trees that provide shade, the song of the birds, all living creatures are from God and show love to us in their own ways. Just as we give love as unconditionally as humanly possible, we receive love back. Faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. It's all around us. The thing about love is you can't quantify love, but you can feel it from thousands of miles away when someone who loves you has the exact right words to say that loosens the grip of anxiety, fear, exhaustion, and overwhelm. Or someone sitting right across the table from you who looks in your eyes and really sees you, the real you. That's love. And when you open your eyes and let down your guard, you will see it everywhere because there really is an abundance of love. And so it is. Remember at all times, the power is in you. It always has been, and it always will be.